Did you guys know that there's wet air and there's dry air, and wet air is bad for a plasma cutter and dry air is good for a plasma cutter, and they make something that can take the moisture out of air? Cause I didn't. I just got back from my favorite store, aka the Zoomies of the tool world, aka Harbor Freight. Let's do a little Harbor Freight haul, Harbor Freight unboxing, shall we? I actually got multiple people recommending this exact, what's it called? A desiccant, I don't even know if that's the right word. Desiccant? I've never heard that word in my life. Dryer plus filter from Harbor Freight, from a lot of you guys in the comments. The first video we did with the CNC plasma cutter, a bunch of you recommended this. Do I know how it works? No. We're gonna find out. Not plasma cutter related, but we got some 220, 320, and 600 grit sandpaper, and that's for our concrete fingerboard obstacles. Not sure if we're gonna get to those today, but I have been needing this. Two 25 foot, 3/8 inch air hose with 300 PSI maximum capacity. Pretty nifty, huh? I have a little bit of figuring out to do, because I also got some 3/8 to 1/4 reducers, as well as a whole bunch of these fittings that we're gonna have to do some air hose routing and figuring out. And then I got some cutoff wheels and some flap discs for the angle grinder, because I went through all my other ones. Pretty solid haul, if I do say so myself. I was trying to get that Home Depot sponsorship a while back, never ended up happening. So Harbor Freight hit my line, #1 supporter right here. Anyway, let's try to decipher this. Okay, rumor around town. These are the beads that absorb the moisture. Uh-oh, I'm making a mess. Nice, that looks like a candy. I really want to eat it. And then we put it back in and we twist it, and there we go. Look, it's all set up and it's all good. Okay, those adapters that we got, I'm gonna put into both sides of the air dryer thing, and then I'm gonna put these things onto these and then connect the hose. It'll all make sense. I want Teflon tape. Make sure everything's staying airtight around here. I'm very out of my element with all of this stuff. I've never worked with air before. Air and metal, man. It's all new to me. Who knew air could be so complicated, huh? All right, so we got this one. The Teflon tape just goes over the threads as extra sealant. And we put that in there, and we tighten her up a little bit, just like so. Do the same thing for the other side here. And we toss that bad boy in there. Isn't this fun, guys? Don't you like coming along with my little adventures? Teaching you how to, I say teaching you guys how to do things, but I'm the one that doesn't know how to do things. All right, our adapters are in. It's learning, man. That's the fun thing about documenting it all, is I get to document my cluelessness as it turns into me learning. I also do have to figure out where I want to mount this. I'm thinking onto that support beam there. First, though, I'm gonna take these little guys and do the same thing. Put Teflon tape on there, and then thread these on both sides so the hose actually has somewhere to connect. Got those things on, and I'm saying it goes right there. There's one. All right, there we go. Boom! It is very rare that I do things right, and I think I did it right. I think the only thing I have to worry about are these getting bent, because they're supposed to be like flat against the wall, not kind of hanging out like that. But I mean, like where they are in the shop, they're pretty safe. I mean, no one can even reach that one because of the shelving. That one's over the table, so no one's gonna bump into it. So that's all good. Got all the fittings right, and that goes down there into the plasma cutter. This one comes out and ends in, where is it? Ends with that, and then when we bring out the air compressor, that plugs into one of those, and we're good. The air goes from that compressor through this hose into the filter where the beads work their magic and filter out the moisture, which then pushes it all the way into the plasma cutter, which then comes out there, which gives us clean air. Nice. Realistically, none of you really actually cared about that. You're just along for the ride. That being said, once I focus on a project, I tunnel vision in and I completely neglect all other aspects of my life. I really want to make a skateboard rail today. My first one ever, or at least try to. There's a 50% chance we're gonna fail. That being said, before diving headfirst into that whole adventure, we will today, don't worry, but it's already 2 and I haven't done a lot of the things that I'm supposed to do for my 75 hard challenge, the main one being my workout. If all goes well, we should be skating later too, but usually I'll run in the morning and then skate throughout the day. And I haven't run yet, and as you can see, well, I guess you can't see, but it's bright and sunshiny and hot outside. I guess this is the whole like mental toughness that this challenge is supposed to be forming, getting you to do things you really don't want to do, so let's do it so we can do the fun stuff. By now, I'm sure, or at least I'd hope, that you guys know Gabe. Yeah, I lived with him for 3 years, one of my best friends, my old filmer. I've mentioned before that we started kind of this running journey together in LA, and then once I moved away, now it's like sometimes we'll call each other on the phone while we run, or we'll still do our runs together, and we formed a sort of friendly competition. A while back, his farthest run was 13.1 miles. He did a half marathon. So I made it my sole purpose on this planet to go out and beat his longest run, and that's the time that I did my 14-mile run. I set my record for a 10K, which is 6.2 miles, and then he went out and he beat my record. So it's this sort of like back and forth of this friendly competition that we do to push each other. We've both been running daily. I'm doing 75 hard. He's not, but I mean, he pretty much is, just not putting a label on it. He's running every day. He's working out, doing all that. So the other day, he set his 5K, which 5K is 3.1 miles. He set his 5K record, unintentionally too, like he wasn't going for speed or anything. I'm not sure if you can see it on the screen, but Gabe's fastest 5K, it was an average pace of 8:08 per mile for a total of 25 minutes and 16 seconds. Let me try to get in the shade to where you guys can see it. There you go. My current best for the 5K is 25 minutes and 31 seconds. He beat me by less than 15 seconds. So I texted him a picture of me flipping him off, and I said, wish me luck sending out on a journey strictly to beat you in a 5K, and he said good luck. So that is our intention today. I do not care about the workout. I do not care about anything other than beating Gabe. That is our sole purpose today. Because I'm focusing strictly on being an asshole, I'm not gonna focus on filming. I'm gonna try to do my first mile fast. I want to get like a 6:30, 6:45 first mile. Second mile I'm a little less worried about, and then third mile I just want to keep it fast. All right, I'll just check in every mile and see how we're doing. Just past mile 1, 6 minutes, 9 seconds. I failed. I started getting legitimately concerned about passing out. You win this time, Gabe. God damn it. We're 11 minutes in. We made it a mile and a half. I'm on these trails just in the middle of nowhere, and like started getting that tunnel vision that you get when like your peripheral vision starts narrowing down. You start seeing black on the sides, which is what happens before you pass out. And bro, if I pass out here, I'm not getting found for a while. I pushed too hard, bro. My first mile, so my fastest mile ever, which was what, like a couple weeks ago, I did 5:31, 5 minutes 31 seconds, and I was like beyond tired, just so gassed. Same thing, kind of that tunnel vision feeling at the end of it, but I was on the road. So I'm like, bro, if I pass out, I'm just gonna like be on the side of the road, someone will find me. I started getting that same feeling here. It's like, it's not worth it. Gabe, you are victorious this time. Part of me was like, oh, I'm just gonna cut out all of this, not even include it in the video. But no, you need failures if you ever want to have wins. My watch monitors my heart rate zones too, and you're allowed to like hit the red zone, which for me is above 200. You're allowed to hit that for a little bit. Like that should be absolute maximum performance, maximum effort, and you're allowed to enter that red zone for a little bit, depending on your cardiovascular health. I was just chilling in that red zone above 200 BPM, getting all like lightheaded. I'm like, bro, I can't die running. Gotta listen to my body. I'm gonna catch my breath, let my heart not palpitate out of its chest, and then resume at a somewhat more leisurely pace. I had to let Gabe know that he took the dub this time around. You're lucky I didn't bring water. I gotta start bringing water, bro. I'm an idiot. Goddamn. Okay, let's resume. Talk about an L. I didn't even make it home. I gotta walk the rest of the way home, bro. One of the things about 75 hard that's one of the more quote-unquote controversial aspects of it is there's no rest days. So if I push myself to like my max, usually the next day I would take a rest day. But because there's no rest days, and I really don't want to cause an overuse injury or an overexertion injury, I'm chilling for the rest of the time, walking the 2 miles or whatever it is home. Congratulations, you got your second fastest time in the mile. After we paused, aka cheated, as Gabe would say, I resumed with like
like faster pace, but not like pushing it. In total, our average pace was 7.5 minutes, which is pretty fucking fast. 3.15 miles in 23 minutes. So had I not cheated, had I actually kept running and not paused, if I didn't pass out and end up floating face first down in some river over there, I would have beaten Gabe's time. I'm never gonna live this one down.
You know what time I think it is, guys? I think it's time for us to stop taking L's for the day and let's make ourselves a skate rail. Quick backstory. For around a year now, I've been making these little fingerboard rails, and I've sort of been doing the best to get creative with them and making some sort of unique rainbow rails, some S-curve rails, some roller coaster rails. Over the past year, I've sort of worked my way up from super cheap, like beginner $90 flux welder from Harbor Freight to slowly working my way up and being able to fund my activities by making stuff like this. I've always had the end goal of wanting to make full-size real skateboard rails alongside plenty of other things. Metal fabrication and metal work has always been really cool to me. If you've been watching the videos for the past, I want to say week now, we've been getting ready for this day for a while now. I think it's time. What fingerboard rails and real rails have in common is the parts that they're made up of. You have the rail itself, which is what you grind. You have the legs, which is what attaches the rail to the feet, and those are essentially the three aspects of a skateboard rail or a fingerboard rail. In fingerboarding, they're very small, and in skateboarding, they are much bigger. So it's all the same parts, they're just upscaled a little bit. This 2-inch tube that we picked up earlier this week is going to be our rail. This 2-inch tube, which I tried bending but soon found out it was too thin of a wall. I just picked this up as a piece of scrap metal. We're gonna cut this up, and this is gonna be the legs of our rail, and these little 12 gauge pieces of plate metal are going to be our feet. Put very simply, these are pretty much all of the materials we need to try to make our first rail. And full disclaimer here, I've said it in pretty much every single video where I'm practicing this whole metal fabrication thing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying my best to absorb each and every helpful comment like a sponge. All advice, tips, tricks, feedback, everything in terms of ways to do things better. If I'm doing something wrong, tell me. I really do want to pursue metal work like this and hopefully be able to start making really cool things for both the skateboarding world and outside of that as well. And we all gotta start somewhere, and I've been very nervous to start, but we're gonna start. Another thing worth noting is these really, they're a little wide for sure, but these could technically work as the feet for the rail without cutting them at all. We really don't need to use the plasma cutter. That being said, I just got the plasma cutter and I really want to use it, so I figured we could have some fun and maybe cut a little shape out of these feet so the feet of the rail are shaped. Just to put the plasma cutter to use, get some practice in, and why not? I've been thinking a lot of what sort of, shape I can make for the feet of this rail. It has to be, longer than it is wide. Thinking of things that I like. And I love dogs, and dogs love bones. I'll use a bone as a treat or whatever. Figure a dog bone shape could work. So I'm gonna try to whip that up on the computer really quick. After some careful consideration, I'm slowly getting better at my CAD and CAM work. You can see we have half of our dog bone there. It should all be programmed and ready to go. Now it is time to fill the water table up. It is time to get the air compressor ready. Let's get these dog bone rail feet cut out, shall we? Turn our water on a little bit. It's always sketchy turning on a hose knowing it's by so many electronics. Let that fill up for a little bit. While that's doing that, let's make sure all of our settings are right. You want this bad boy cranked up to 45 amps. I thought it was 12 gauge. It's actually 11 gauge. Those two little scrap pieces I have. Might as well go through and turn the machine on. Let's wheel this thing over. Now that I think about it, now that we have such a long hose, because we set that up this morning, I think this can just chill here. Get it plugged in and then plug that up and turn her on. And now we listen to the sweet sound of an air compressor. And then look at this, we have all of this reach and we can plug it in right here. We are full, we have pressure, we take it on over. I'm doing my pre-checklist here because I'm still super new to this thing. Amps are set, we got 75 PSI, all is good. That means our air filter, or our air filter. We have our metal in place. We have our dog bone set up. I've done this one by myself myself from start to finish. I didn't have to run anything by Jordan, so kind of a crapshoot to see if this works. I got my visor set lower, so I'll actually be able to like watch it cut this time to make sure the dog bone comes out exactly how I designed it. We are going to click start, and here it goes. It's coming. I hope it comes out. So far it's looking good. It's cutting the one side of the dog bone right now, because you know how they have, you know what a dog bone looks like. What the heck? What kind of dog bone is that? Oh my gosh, look at that. That side came out perfect, but something got messed up on the other side of the dog bone. Oh my god. It cut actually really good. I'm proud of myself for programming that. See if this is hot. It's hot, all right. Can we touch it? Yes, we can, kind of. Oh, let's get this dog bone out of here. I don't know what happened, man. I mean, I guess it'll still work as like half of a dog bone, but I don't know what went on with that. So stupid. Look at that, dude. That cut came out really, really good. I hopped on a Discord call with Jordan again last night to further walk me through just the CAD and cam workflow, kind of what every setting does, and I messed around a little bit with some of my cut settings. This is like with no cleanup or anything. There's very, very minimal dross and cleanup. This is gonna be perfect for one of our feet. It's a half dog bone. All right, let's get this other one cut out. All right, I'm gonna start this one. I actually want to set the camera up just so you guys can look at it, because it, like, all jokes and immature penis jokes aside, it's really fascinating to watch. It really is a very cool machine. So I think it'll take 45 seconds or maybe less, honestly. I just want to set you guys up and show you the full cut. All right, sit back and enjoy the dog bone. It's done! Ooh, that's still kind of toasty. It was literally just blasted with 20,000 degree plasma. I wonder why it's hot. I got two of these really cool stencils now. Let's take this out. Nice, another one came out super good. Yep, that's a good one. All right, there's the feet for our rail. So this is pretty much, not even pretty much, this is experimentation day, where this is my first time doing everything we're doing, actually. That's why I want to use, like, I'm very well prepared for this rail to come out even unusable, if anything. I want to use all of our scrap material first before we start diving into the stuff that I actually paid decent money for. Right now I'm bringing out the chop saw so that we can cut the legs. I think I'm gonna do a foot in length for the legs. The rail's 2 inches, so it'll come out to what, 14 inches tall total, give or take, or it should at least. Again, I'm going for 1 foot on the legs. Got our handy dandy eye condoms on. We got this thing lined up right at the 12-inch mark, so let's run it. Again! Look at that. They're actually the same size. Good thing we bought those flap discs or whatever, because I'm gonna use those to clean these up before we prep for welding. Also, if it sounds like someone's peeing in the background, it's because I am draining the table, because I'm just using water. I'm not using plasma table fluid. I'm just gonna go through and clean up the edges, then also just get the sides here, because I am gonna have to weld it. I'm only doing this side. I'll explain in a little bit why I'm not doing this side, but we have some work to do here. I also marked the center point of our of our dog bone here. So that's where the leg is gonna go on it. So I'm just gonna go through and grind the side so it's easily weldable. I haven't welded something life-size, like besides my little TIG welding on my fingerboard rails in ever. I've actually never MIG welded something this big, so my welds are gonna suck. This is probably pointless. Both of our feet are weld ready because these are technically gonna go right there, and those will be the feet and legs of the rail. I mentioned I was gonna have to do something here, and I'll explain that in a second, but I wanna get everything fully ready first. Because this is more of a test run of everything and me trying to familiarize myself with the tools, with the
workflow, with the process of everything. I want to try to use our tube bender here, and it's going to be oh so sketchy and violating every OSHA violation there is to not have this mounted to the ground or have the caster legs attached that I've been wanting to make. We're just we're just gonna raw dog it. That is so sketchy. Okay, I think I want to do what I tried to do with this one that kinked it, where it's just gonna be like a flat bar with a little launch ramp at the end of it. I think maybe not this severe, like maybe that's almost like a 45-degree angle. I'm thinking maybe like a 20 or 30-degree angle. Yeah, I really got to add some legs to that bad boy and put it on casters like it's supposed to be. All right, let's do this. Okay, let's do this once and do this right. I don't know how I'm gonna prevent it from falling over, but I'm gonna figure that out. Yeah, we just get the tube in there, nice. Okay, I see the problem here. I'm not even gonna like measure where the kink is or anything like that. This is really just to get some practice in and to have this not fall over. I'm sort of just eyeballing everything right now. All right, our tube is in there. This is so not the right way to do this, not having this mounted. I regret this decision already, but now I know that I have to prioritize getting a mount for this. We're hooked up to our air here. All of these pins are in. Everything is tight. Again, I'm not even measuring the degree of bend right here. I'm really just testing everything out. Oh, there she goes. There it goes. I've never used a tube bender before, so this is my first time messing around with it. I guess I can't really know if it's kinking until afterwards. So I guess this, like I said, this is a trial run. Keep going a little bit. Honestly, that right there might be good. Here's my angle that I see. So I would say, I mean, if I had to eyeball that, I'd say maybe that's 30 degrees. Now I just gotta get it out of here, which is gonna be really hard with it not bolted in. Can you see how much sweat is coming off my face? I just had to manhandle that thing to get that tube out without it being mounted. Okay, rested this thing back up against there, and look at our bend. We have no kink. We are good. Yes, that came out actually really good. Wow, it's coming along. Last time I talked about making a little like caster wheel setup for this. Some people are like, no, you can't do that. It has to be mounted into the ground. Not that I'm gonna act like I know what I'm talking about, because I most certainly don't, but I did talk to my homie who owns a fabrication shop that was telling me about this thing and what I should do with it. This used to be a manual tube bender, meaning you'd use like a hand hydraulic jack or whatever to bend the tube. And in that case, yes, it 1000% has to be mounted. Now that I have the hydraulic or air compressor ram thing that I'm able to just pull that trigger and have it bend, it can be on casters. This would have been so much easier if I was able to wheel this thing out into the middle and then kind of do it here. I mean, they sell a caster base for it, but I think I would love to do it myself just to get practice in and making things. I was thinking something like this sort of square tubing. I would make an X on the bottom of it. Probably make them pretty long, like 3 or 4 feet on each side, because it is a heavy machine. And then add wheels on each end. Just to, I think that would solve my problem, but if anyone else has any better ideas, let me know. Regardless, it works. I'm hyped. We're nearing the finish line. I am so sweaty and tired. Rail, legs, dicks, aka feet. The final step besides actually welding it together, the second to final step is tube notching, which I just watched a YouTube video on. I know nothing about. Essentially, these go right there, and pretend this is that rail that rests on it like that, right? There's a perfect example of what it's supposed to look like. I essentially need to cut out a little notch on both sides of these legs for the rail to sit in perfectly. They make tube notchers, which I don't have, the way that I was planning on doing it, but I'm an impatient little fella. This is a machine torch for the plasma cutter. It mounts into the CNC machine. There's no hand trigger or anything. It's all controlled by the CNC machine. Plasma cutters can also be used by hand, similar to this MIG welding gun, where you have a trigger, and when you pull the trigger, it cuts, and you can draw just like you would. I mean, like you get what I'm saying, right? That torch that cut out the dick and balls can be replaced with a hand torch that has a trigger, so you can freehand and cut stuff that way. My hand torch for the plasma cutter should be coming in either tomorrow or next week. You could picture that once I mark out where I'm supposed to cut, I could just hand hold the plasma cutter and notch it out manually like that. Because I'm impatient and I wanted to get this rail done before I have the hand torch for the plasma cutter, we're gonna do it using an angle grinder. I watched one YouTube video with no explanation. It was some dude with music overlaying the whole thing, and he just
just showed me how to do it. 10% chance this works. So this is where I would be honored if someone in the comments could step in and walk me through a better way to do this, or maybe this is just the way to do this, I don't know. According to the YouTube video, I draw out the circle. Okay, so there we have our circle, and now I cut that out. I don't necessarily understand how it works, but I don't think I need to. I don't know how important it is that these are like perfectly accurate, but I mean, there's a circle. We then fold our circle in half perfectly. Boom, just like that. We then use a straight edge to mark the line that we just folded. Okay, all right, there's our halfway mark. We then hold the paper up to our tube and we mark where that line is. I have to divide this into 3 parts, and it would be there. I mean, that looks right. And then I'm supposed to fold it over that line, all right? And then I'm supposed to fold it again over that line. Okay, so then we pinch it all together there. I don't know the point of the whole folding thing, but whatever, I'm just following the instructions here. I go over that line, I cut out that line, all right, boom. We have our little sliver. I line the center line up with there. I see the vision. Now we go through and we trace this outline. My God, would you look at that? In theory, I believe that if I cut those out now with the angle grinder, it should be able to fit right on there, or at least close enough that I can weld it and make it look half decent. This also seems like the most impractical way to notch tubing. I'll see if Harbor Freight has like a cheap tube notcher or something. That is notched all right, and I can tell you right now, I'm never doing that again. There's gotta be a better way to do that. We're not gonna talk about this one, it's a little crooked. In theory though, this should be everything we need. Yo, this rail is gonna be gnarly. No way, it actually kinda looks like a rail now. I did it, sort of, not yet. Wow! The last step is to weld the feet to the legs and the legs to the rail on both sides. And like I said, I have little to no experience with welding, period. Although the very limited knowledge I do have is very small scale TIG welding for the fingerboard obstacles. I've never MIG welded anything life size in my entire life. I know how to do it, like I understand the concept of it, but got our 75-25 mix. We got our torch or gun or whatever. I don't even know what it's called. Let's finish this bad boy up. It's on there. As long as you don't look at the welds, they're fine. And take 2. Okay, that one actually felt a lot better. I made a whoopsie. Oh, it is a big whoopsie. That is a bummer. I'm tired. I've been doing this all day. It's hot. I rushed. I think I rushed on accident. We spent all that time notching the, I mean, it looks like shit anyway. We spent all that time notching it, and when I welded it onto the feet, I totally forgot that the orientation of the notch mattered. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Really? This one, I mean, this one's obviously crooked, but for completely not even thinking about the orientation, that one's usable. That one is so not. Do you think we can get away with it? Should I run it as is? My only other option really would be to go in with the angle grinder and try to just completely cut off the entire weld that I just did, grind it down, redo it. Or, I mean, we just take the L. God, we've taken a lot of L's today. L after L after L. You know what? It's a practice rail. Let's run it as is. I mean, the feet are dicks, for God's sakes. Let's just finish this thing up. Full transparency, I have never been more embarrassed of anything that I've ever made in my entire life. Oh my God. This is actually the most hideous thing. I'm almost not even gonna show you the welds.
maybe I don't show you. You've seen enough.
Honestly though, like the feet to the legs actually weren't terrible. I was starting to get the hang of it on this one. This one actually felt not half bad. This was the first one that I did, and in a couple places I lingered too long and actually burnt through that, melted through that leg. Here, it's just like I don't have the skill that I need to fill that gap. And because of just that god-awful notch that I did, like I was only able to tack it in like a couple places over there. Under the rail, it's actually connected, but over here, I kept melting through, and I mean, it's bad, guys. It's not good. Does any of that matter, though? This was a learning experience. I learned. It actually feels like relatively decent. One of the things that I actually did learn is that the 11 gauge feet are still too thin. They warped a little bit from the heat, and they're still like malleable and they bend a bit, and I want like thick ass, like solid rails. So these feet, the cock and balls, I want to actually make thicker so they're not gonna bend. That might be a problem. I'm terrified of this. I hope you know that. I trust no part of my work. Oh God! See what I mean about the legs bending? Like the legs have way too much play in them. I hate like a flimsy rail like that, so that's like the number one thing I need to change. Thicker plate metal for the feet. It also might help if they were actually perpendicular. That's a problem. Oh God. Oh. Okay, that actually felt better than the board slide. Okay, I mean, I haven't even waxed it or anything yet either. Oh! The worst part is I have to skate the kink. Look at how much that shaft just bent from that. That is unacceptable. That is bad. Okay, no, I'm gonna do it. Oh God! Why are those dicks so floppy? I gotta like double that thickness. We gotta go like 1/4 inch or something on that. The more attempts that we try, the wonkier it gets too. That's not good. I can bend it back at least. I'm really glad I didn't waste more of my time trying to straighten out those feet that I messed up on. A lot has to change before the next rail. We needed this though. We needed to just make an absolute monstrosity like this to learn what we do differently. I will not admit defeat though. Okay, I got this. This is unacceptable. I can't believe it's bending that easy. I just gotta do it. Oh no! It was there. Yes. No, you just gotta get used to riding the dicks and it works. Pretty sure that I can confidently say these are the most cursed skate obstacle ever created. Everything about this. Dude, the crooked back leg is really what just makes it. Well, that was something. And now it's time to take her to the chop shop. Ladies and gents, that is all she wrote. Let's sit and think for a sec. Oh, the tube that I used as the rail, the 2-inch 120 wall steel tube, I paid decent money for this. I cut out the salvageable part, so this can most certainly, without a doubt, be reused for something. It's a little short now. It's probably what, 6 foot? Okay, 5.5 feet. That's pretty much it for like the nice stuff that I bought. Everything else was scrap metal, which I'm actually really happy about. I think the number one takeaway from this is that the feet, which I was gonna use 12 gauge. I actually bought a full sheet of 12 gauge to use as the feet. This was 11 gauge, meaning it's thicker, and it held up terribly. I'm probably gonna use that 12 gauge sheet for signs or bottle openers or throwing knives could be sick. The possibilities are really endless. I gotta get something thicker for these feet. I'm pretty sure our top rail, the 2-inch 120 wall, I think that's chillin'. I think that's good. Maybe we could go thicker, but it might be overkill, and I think we're nearing the max of what my tube bender can bend. I do think another thing, because remember how we used the scrap tube for these legs? It's thin. It's pretty much 16 gauge thickness, which makes it really, really light, which I didn't even think about. So I think if we use the 120 wall for both the rail and the legs, that would add some heft to it, which would help it moving around, along with thicker feet. And then, I mean, dude, I gotta get a tube notcher. The way that I I did it, and like I for sure could have done it better. I kind of rushed through it at the end because I was getting fed up. It's not practical. If I ever want to actually continue making real skate rails, I need to get a tube notcher. I don't really know much about them, so hopefully there's just a super entry level, basic, cheap Harbor Freight one that I can get in the meantime. Yeah, I mean, a lot of super important lessons were learned, which is cool. It's not too big of a loss in terms of material. That was a hell of a video. This video was all over the place. Oh, and we need to make feet or legs or whatever for the tube bender. That's pretty essential too. Yeah, that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed this shit show of a video. Appreciate you watching. It's only up from here. There's no way that we can make anything worse than that. Appreciate you guys watching. Catch you next video. Peace out.